Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. Welcome back to another video in the build up to FIFA 22 with me, Kieran, and it's one that a lot of people have asked me about in my last video, which was EA Play, and people generally need a lot of help with, and that thing is the web app, setting it up but also making coins so you have coins to spend when you get your hands on the actual game, whether that's the Ultimate Edition or if that's the full release, or even if it's a bit later in the year, even if you get the game for Christmas. This is still something that's helpful for you because you can make coins that you can then use later on. So I'm really excited for this video. I've learned a little bit while making this as well, doing research, kind of building on stuff I advised you to do last year. So I do think this is really helpful. I think all of these tips, even if you've played FIFA for a long time, can help you out, because there's a few little changes this year because of Rivals Rewards and Foot Champs moving and things like that. So I'll be explaining all of that to you and how you can make the most coins and make the best start on the FIFA 22 web app. Right guys, so the first thing you need to know is to use the transfer market on the web app, which is really important for what we're going to do with making coins. You can get started without it, but if you want to use the transfer market and start your trading early, you will need to have played FIFA 21 Ultimate Team on any account that's linked to that Origin. So you must have played FIFA 21 the year before, basically on the same Origin account, okay? Not the same PSN or stuff like that, just on the same Origin. Apart from that, it doesn't matter. If you haven't, then maybe if any of your friends have got it, just ask if they can log into your account for about a minute. That should do it. They should just log into your account and then switch the profile to you for a minute and it should work. So if you want to use Transfer Market early and haven't played FIFA before, that should work for you. But I would have done this in the web app, but the web app is now shut for FIFA 22. You will see as soon as you go on this starter pack thing here, it's giving you a lot of nations that you can pick. Most of them actually are pretty good. You could just go with who you like and who you're a fan of, but that might not make you the most coins, you know. There's England, Brazil, France, Argentina, Germany, Italy, and you can see all of them. These are the top 9 nations in the game. The top 9 have always been called. We want to think about the starter SBCs and how we can complete them. The best one for completing the starter SBCs is going to be England, okay? Because there's ones where you need 3 or 4 leagues. England has 4 leagues, and it also normally gives you maybe a player from the MLS, a player from like the Swedish league, something like that as well. It's really helpful. Whilst with France and Brazil, I know you might get a lot of leagues, but you might not get enough strong links. You could go with them because they may give you a card that you can use in a SBC such as First 11, one of the hybrid SBCs. You might get a card that's useful for that, but you just never know. So I think England is going to be your safest bet. I'd avoid most of the others because Germany only has 3 leagues, Italy obviously has 2, Argentina, these ones have 1. You want to have ones where their own country has lots of leagues. You're going to be able to get a lot of strong links. I'm going to pick England, of course, and it's going to take you to this screen after. It'll be on the web app, it won't be on the actual game, remember that, but it's going to take you to a screen after it's given you your players, showing you what kind of things you can do. So we're just going to let the pack open here, and then it will take you through a few things. We've got Troy Deeney, that's about expected. Remember, you can't sell any of these players, guys. You just have to keep them in your club right now. But you want to be looking straight away, what players can we put in SBC? What challenges can we complete? Because there is some chemistry challenges in there for getting strong links, maybe getting 100 chem, and a few things like that. So if you just want to put as many players in you can that link to each other, get the highest chemistry possible to start off with, you might complete a few challenges without even realising. So that is something to kind of look out for, because that can be really helpful for you. So I'm going to get as much chemistry as I can there. Doesn't matter, I can change it later, and then I'm just going to advance and add a lone player. I recommend with the lone player, guys, don't really bother getting yourself a centre back. Either get yourself a striker, maybe even a goalkeeper just because you've got a bronze goalie, or get yourself a wide player or a box to box. Don't get yourself like left or right back, really. I wouldn't go for that. So I might have a look at this guy here and see if there's any decent box to box midfielders that come up. But if there's none that fit your squad, okay, you can just go back and then go to another position and see maybe is there anyone here to replace Henry Lansbury that might fit better in my squad. And you can see here maybe not, so you might go to the other side until you find someone that you like. If you go in the same position, the same players will come up each time, but I might carry on going, and then I see Sancho, and I might pick Sancho. I know he's not particularly good in this game, but he links into my squad, so I might pick Sancho for that reason, because I can use him. And I would recommend actually using the lone player, because if you don't, it is just a waste of your time, so it is good that you use it. And the next thing will be kits, and with kits, you can actually sell these, so they are worth considering. They are worth taking a little bit of time over, because I know it might not be many coins, but if you get a really good one, it could be as much as 3 or 4k. So I'm going to look at these kits, and you can do the same, and just think which one is probably going to sell the most. Looking at these, are there any particular nice ones, any ones that are maybe funny for any reasons, or ones from a well-known team? And as much as I hate them, I'd pick Tottenham because I think they'd go for the most coins. And then I look at the badge here, and we see we've got Mexico, we've got a few other ones here, we've got Watford, Betis, South Africa, and you just think which one might sell, which one might people want to buy, and I'll go with Watford maybe because it is quite a unique badge, it is quite cool, and it might sell for a bit. So you can obviously check that if you know anyone else that's already been on the game, see how much they're going for. But what I would recommend is you're going to be on the web app, so you won't have the option to play now, you'll only have the challenges. So what you can do then, if you've got any welcome packs, go to the store, make sure you open them. I think I might have one here. Okay, apparently I don't. I think I've just, because I haven't played on this account before, it wouldn't be there. But if you're coming back, you're going to have loads of packs. And make sure you're checking the value of every card you get from them welcome packs. I don't know if they're actually tradable or not, but just make sure you're checking them. There might be a player pick in there as well. Make sure you pick someone that links if it's untradeable, or if none of them link, think about maybe taking a high rate for an SBC. So then you can get started on the foundations. You don't have to be on the game to get the foundations. With the basics, chemistry, chemistry advanced, transfer market, SBCs, you can get all of them started. And they are pretty helpful because they'll give you 150 coins maybe. That's a few extra coins. Some consumables means you don't have to buy any if you are playing games quite early on. Some chemistry styles are actually very helpful. But just look around and see what you can find that's pretty helpful. Just have a look. Obviously you're not going to be able to do competitive play or anything like that on the web app, but just try and get as many of these done as you can. Maybe don't actually buy players for it. I wouldn't recommend that, as a bit counterproductive because it is 150 coins you get at the end of the day, which is a bid on a bronze or silver. And then for chemistry as well, just see if you can get any of these. I think if you get any play picks or anything like that, just build towards completing those challenges. There are a few little cheeky coins that you can add on extra. Just a few more things while we're on the actual game before I head over to Footbin, where I'm going to explain some trading patterns and things that you can invest in quite safely with players. I'd recommend that you wait a while before buying any kits, badges, because they're going to be really rare at the start of the game. It's like if you're a Man United supporter, a Man United badge is going to be going for 5k maybe. I wouldn't recommend that. Just stick with what you've got for now and then wait until there's some supply. Maybe when Squad Battles comes out for the first time, waiting until the actual game comes out, because at the end of the day it's a badge or a kit, and for the most of the year you're going to have the one you want, and you might even get some in your welcome pack that are usable. So just don't bother buying any kits. I think sometimes, I don't know if it's still a thing, but you might be able to discard all of the welcome kits for about 150 coins. I'm not too sure about that, but coins are coins at the start of the year, and it is going to be preview packs, okay? And if you've got 7.5k, have a go with the preview pack. My welcome pack has finally come up here. I've just got to get rid of the Maradona stuff. But the preview packs are worth it. It's worth going in if you've got 7.5k and just seeing if you get something worth more than that, because it's guaranteed profit. There's no danger to it, because if you make less and you make no profit, you don't make a loss though. There's no loss making involved. I've actually got a bald here. I think I've got Witzel. Absolutely sick. If you get a decent card like that, I'd hold on to it for maybe 1 or 2 days, but I don't think this is actually... Yeah, I don't think this is actually tradable. But yeah, you might get a loan icon too, like I've got here. Pick one that links to your squad if you can. None of mine do, so I'm just going to pick the one I'm going to use the most, which would be Ronaldo. So there's a lot of things to consider. The first thing when you see any kind of player, any kind of pick, is can I make most coins from picking this player? Is this player going to make me the most coins? And that is really the main thing. Just have a look. And always be thinking about, can I put this player in an SBC? Can I make coins with him? If not, then maybe pick the player you would use the most. But at the start, it's all about trying to make coins. If you get 7.5k, try and open some of these. A preview silver pack might even be worth it, because you could get something a bit useful out of that. I wouldn't recommend silver trading at the start. That's a few weeks in, and that becomes a bit better when marquee matchups tend to come out, and a few other SBCs like that. But I wouldn't recommend doing silver trading at the start. And speaking of trading, I think I'm going to explain a little bit on transfer market here and then head over to Footbin. So a few things that are quite safe investments that are always going to go up at the start of the year are consumables. So maybe not kits and badges, but the ones that you can actually use in game. So chemistry styles and position changes especially, they are really good at going up, because when people are on the web app, people can't actually use a chemistry style. For some reason it's not actually showing my foot hub or anything, but you can't use a chemistry style if you're only on the web app. So you might as well invest in them then, because they're going to be really low. There's some really good ones that are known. They're the ones that are going to be used the most. Hunter, Shadow, Hawk, Sniper. Ones that are mainly pace boosting, shooting boosting. Also passing is okay if it's a midfielder, but you're going to be looking for ones that are going to be used the most. So that is Hulk for a striker, and also Finisher, I think, is the chemistry style. Hunter is useful in every position, as is Shadow, and also Sniper. And then for defensive, you're looking for Sentinels, and I think there's another one as well. I think Anchor is pretty good, especially on fullback. Anchor is quite popular in CDM, so they're the ones that I'd maybe invest in, because they do tend to go up. And with position changes, no one's doing those expensive SBCs or getting expensive teams right at the start, especially if they can't use the players. So invest in cam to centre forward is probably the best one, and vice versa. CM to CDM, CM to cam sometimes go up a little bit, but maybe not too much. And then right mid to right wing is something that people do a lot as well, because they get the one extra chem from doing that. I wouldn't really recommend centre forward to striker. A lot of people leave their players as centre forwards. Centre forward is a very good position to have a player in, by the way, because they can play cam or striker. But yeah, while I'm talking about buying teams as well, don't buy a team straight away. There is no point in buying a team right at the start of the game. You might as well just wait until you can actually play it. Don't buy a team that you can't use, because you're just wasting your coins. So this is something, this next one is our first kind of little trading tip. This is something you can do on either the game or you can do it on Footbin. Both of them work. But what you're going to want to look for are players that play in either a top 5 league or one of those top 9 nations we saw earlier. Top 5 leagues, in case you don't know, are the English, German, Italian, French and Spanish first division. So I can just go here and go into concept players, and what you're going to want to do, you can do this on Footbin by using filters or Foothead or whatever app you use, is you're going to want to go for all gold, so use the right stick to flick to all gold, and have a look for certain positions where there isn't many players that are going to be cheap. So one that I think was good this year was Argentinian left backs. If you have a look here, ones that are actually usable or buyable to start the game. Acuna's going to be too expensive. These guys came out later, remember, so there was just these 4 here, which isn't many at all. None of them are in decent leagues either, apart from this guy. So this guy, Sanchez Mino, expects a player like that to be expensive. Have a look through and just see, is there any from maybe England right wing where there's not many players that are gold. So this one, there's just Edwards, okay, so he might be quite expensive because of that, because people are going to want to use him for SBCs, especially the advanced ones. They're going to want to use cards like that, and they might, like, a lot of people do this actually. I'll do an SBC advice video after on why you shouldn't do things like this, but they'll buy a whole squad without checking that all the players are cheap, and then they'll end up with one player left and they'll just buy him anyway because he's expensive and he's the only player that fits. So a lot of people end up in that position, and you can capitalise off it by buying them players early before people actually end up doing the SBCs. I would leave most of the advanced SBCs until the game's actually out. They do end up a little bit cheaper. That's why I wait to do my tutorials until then. Especially Hybrid Master and First 11, you need loyalty for both of those. I'll be doing a video explaining loyalty too, don't worry. So definitely don't buy them, because if you buy them players, they're just going to be sitting in your club until you can actually do the SBC, which might be 10 days if you do it on the first day of the web app, and that's a long time to wait to do an SBC. But yeah, just a few more that worked for me last year. We've got French left wing, like Terrier is the only one for that, especially if there's only one that's in the home league as well, only one that will get a strong link. That one's pretty useful as well. Make sure you check both positions, make sure you check the left wing and the left mid though, because if you look on left mid, there's a few more there's tight that's called Maurice's Capel, but some people don't do that, so that means Terrier would still be expensive, and you can just do that. It's just trial and error until you find a few that maybe are pretty good. So you can just do that in your own time. There's so many players that work with that you don't need advice from me. You just need to try it until you see ones that work for you. Ones will work at different times, so just it's a bit of trial and error of that. You shouldn't really lose coins on it, because they'll probably be rising because more people are doing SBCs the longer the game goes on for the first few weeks. So I don't think there's any danger of no profit with that, or danger of making losses even. So just try with that and try and find your own players, because if I suggest ones, then a lot of people might go after them, but just find them yourselves. It is pretty easy to do, and I've shown you the method there, so hopefully you should make quite a few coins off that. Right guys, so now heading over to Footbin, I'm going to be explaining a little bit more, a few other things that will work, and these are kind of cycles that you'll expect to see within the game, and when cards will rise, when you should sell. So, there's a few different types of cards. There's cards that are just unusable straight away, they're SBC fodder. We've kind of talked about them with the Argentinian left back and those kind of players, so we don't need to go over that again. They're going to be quite low, and then they're going to rise when people do SBCs, and they'll just fall back to just fodder value. There's players that are usable just for the first few weeks, or maybe even like the first 2 weeks. Ones like Konate last year, Upamecano, Jules Koundra, ones that come to mind. We'll talk about them first. They tend to fall, okay? They tend to fall in price, and then they go up again right after the game comes out for about a day or two, and then dip again. So the kind of players you want to find on launch day are ones that are only going to be usable for a few weeks. So if we look at Ibrahima Konate here, ignore the prices at the moment, we've got a little graph here, you can see he's going for 10k, and then he falls until the day the game comes out on Friday, and then Saturday he has a little jump. Some of these aren't very much, it's a bit more pronounced on both Upamecano and Koundra, you can see it here. The game comes out on the 9th, and then he rises a little bit again there. And these aren't the best examples, they're just ones that came to mind. I think Koundra shows it quite well. Look, he has a big rise on on Saturday, you can see that he rises by 600 coins. So ones that are useful for the first few weeks in a lot of different positions. Maybe a player like Rodrigo could work for that as well. They're the kind of cards that you want to buy on the day the game comes out, okay, and you want to sell maybe 1 or 2 games in when people start to get a bit more coins. There's no Rivals rewards this year, Rivals placement coins, I don't think, so it might be a little bit longer that they carry on rising. It may be a few more days this year, but I don't expect it to be too long because people get past them cards quite easy, especially after first weekend league. No one is going to be using them. But while we're speaking of first weekend league, at the same time there are cards that are going to be on the up during that time, and they're ones that you can maybe look at them and say they're usable until the end of November. So they're cards like Adama, Saint Maximan, Joe Gomez. They're the 3 that I've got up for this one. So if we look at Adama Traore here, you see he starts off quite low. He just rises. He doesn't really suffer a blip on a dip on Friday. Look, he just carries on rising. You see, if you buy him early, 15k on the first few days. By the first weekend league, which I believe was about, I think it was here. I think it actually might have been a week later. He's gone up quite a lot. Okay, so maybe just before that, the first time people get a coin injection, whether it's a Squad Battle rewards time, a Div Rivals rewards time, they're going to rise. Okay, because a lot more people can afford them. A lot more people are selling their fodder, which is why those kind of players there, those Uthman Kanate's fall, because so many people are sending them at that same time. That's why they don't carry on rising at that time. So players like that, we'll have a look at Joe Gomez as well. He's a really good show of this. You can see here Friday game comes out around here, and the actual game comes out here, by the way. That's when the web app comes out. The actual game came out on the 9th. He just rises and rises and rises. He has a little fall, but then he rises again because he's just so usable. And Joe Gomez, I think Godfrey's one this year that will kind of look like that. Maybe Lacroix as well, or however you say it, the Wolfsburg French centre-back, because they're usable so long-term that more and more people are going to be getting them, and they're just going to carry on rising. So think about that kind of card as well. We're going to Saint Maximan in here as well. He's a bit similar. He rises, and then after a few days he begins to fall as people kind of get better cards, but he's still really expensive. He's still going for 33k in November, so those cards I'd sell them maybe at the end of the first week, maybe on the Sunday or the Monday. That seems to be when they hit their peak. So if you buy them during early access and then sell them the Monday after the game comes out, I think that's when you maximise profit on those kind of cards. I wouldn't recommend going in the highest end cards. If you look at the likes of Ronaldo here, they kind of stay quite constant. You've got Messi in here as well, and you've got Jan or Black. See, they kind of like tail off a little bit or stay the same. There's not really much point in investing in them. Something I did see with goalkeepers actually is for some reason they did really rise during November. I don't know why, but a lot of the goalkeepers, Oblak to Stegen Neuer, all the same, they had a massive rise in November. I'm not really sure what that was for, but it might have been to do with there being UCL cards, team of the group stage, team of the tournament, road to the final, that all kind of linked to them. There was Kunda, I think there was an Alaba as well, and also a Longley, something like that. I'm not too sure, but there was cards that definitely linked to them, and that might have put their prices up. But they all seem to jump a bit in November. This year, of course, we've got ones to watch to think about as well. That is a thing that you can do, actually. That has been effective in the past. Buy a card that you are pretty sure is going to get ones to watch. So maybe someone like a Leon Bailey, and then their card goes out of packs for a week when the game comes out, and they end up being really rare and rising a lot normally. It was quite a known method a few years ago, and it got so known that it didn't end up working, but I think it's kind of faded back into obscurity because it wasn't working last year, and I think that'll be a lot more strong this year, especially with there being so many ones to watch players. There's a lot more chance your player will get one. So you're looking at the likes of Leon Bailey there, maybe Buendia. They're just a few that come to mind straight away. Maybe DePaul as well, because he's going to be quite usable. You're looking at usable cards that are going to be out of packs and a lot of people would want, so they will rise quite a lot if you manage to buy them during early access, I think. And also there is a type of card that we haven't talked about yet, and that is cards that will be extinct when the game comes out, and Rafinha is my main example of this that I could find. You see here, web app is out here, he's just not out at all. He's not selling at all. He doesn't actually have his price range changed until the game comes out. And if you have a player like that, sell them as soon as their price range changes, okay? Maybe even before that, because they end up selling it lower than the actual price range was. So say his price range was 10k, everyone refuses to sell him at 10k, and then he's gone to 6 here, because I don't think his price range would have been less than 10k, and then everyone sells at the same time, it ends up pushing his price down anyway. So if you hear an announcement that price range is going to change maybe, or from a leak or something like that, maybe sell them slightly before that, because the prices do tend to end up going lower. I know it's a really strange thing, but it seems to have always happened. So extinct players, maybe hold on to them or sell them as soon as their price range changes, because then they fall really quickly. You can look at this, he's 6.8k there, 5.4 in 2 days time, so it's a big difference there. Also, just a few words on other methods that people like to use. You can do gold bidding, that will work if you just want to place bids on golds. I wouldn't recommend doing it with silvers and bronzes really, because people aren't going to be using them for SBCs in the first few days, unless you get one that maybe is a unique strong link for one of the star SBCs. Apart from that, I wouldn't really recommend bidding on bronzes and silvers, but if you want to bid on golds, just gold on rares, see if you can get any for 350 or 650 for rares, go for it, okay, because you've got nothing to lose. If you don't get them, you don't get them, you can try again. I wouldn't recommend sniping as well on the web app. That's just one more thing, because people will be doing it on EA Access and it'll be a lot faster than you, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. And another thing as well, prices do drop while Europe's asleep, okay? So if you're in America, you're quite a few hours behind. If you can stay up a little bit late at night, maybe to like 10 PM, a lot of Europe isn't going to be on. The prices tend to be lower because there's a lot less people active then. I don't know why that happens, but I've been awake at like 12 or 1 European time, well BST, and there's been a lot of stuff lower on the market. So if you guys are awake at late times, or you're in America or even somewhere like Australia, you might be able to get on while Europe is asleep and prices will be a bit lower. That's just a general tip for the year that really worked for me at the start of last year, making me a lot of coins. So let me know if you've got any questions down below, any methods that you think are good. I can talk about them maybe in another video. There's going to be a trading video for the whole year coming out soon, as well as some tutorials on things like loyalty, SBCs, all of the things that you guys want to know about FIFA 22. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really hope that I'll see you soon for another FIFA 22 video, and until then, goodbye.